that will be remembered for as long as intelligent life exists in tone. Year after the first attack on human civilians, the Zephyrian Empire and the Vorthon Collective no longer existed as functioning political entities. Their territory had been systematically occupied by human forces who demonstrated an unsettling competence at both warfare and administration. Admiral Laura Scott, now promoted from her original rank of captain, oversaw the integration of former enemy populations into human-administered zones. The process was nothing like what the surviving alien leadership had expected. There had been no genocide. There had been no mass enslavement. There had been no destruction of alien culture or forced conversion to human beliefs. Instead, the humans proved to be efficient and surprisingly fair administrators, which somehow made their complete victory even more disturbing to the defeated alien species. "We don't want to rule over you," Laura explained to a gathering of former Zephyrian military officers. "We want to make sure you never threaten anyone's civilians again. There's a difference." The human occupation zones were run with a combination of military efficiency and civilian oversight that confused aliens who had expected either brutal oppression or chaotic anarchy. Human administrators studied alien cultures, learned alien languages, and adapted human systems to work with alien psychology. Dr. Helen Park had become Earth's leading expert on post-conflict psychology among alien species. Her research into how different species processed defeat and occupation had helped human administrators avoid many of the problems that typically arose when one species conquered another. "The key insight," Helen explained to a conference of human administrators, "is that most alien species view conflict as a temporary state that ends when one side wins. They expect the winners to either destroy the losers or integrate them into the winning society. They don't understand the human concept of conditional victory." Conditional victory was the term human strategists used to describe their approach to ending the war. They hadn't tried to conquer alien territory for its own sake. They had conquered it to ensure that it could never again be used to threaten human civilians. The former Zephyrian Empire was now administered by a joint human-alien council that included both species, but the humans retained absolute veto power over any decision related to military affairs, weapons development, or expansion beyond current borders. The former Vorthon Collective had been reorganized as an economic cooperative with human oversight of all resource extraction and trade agreements. The Vorthons were allowed to maintain their merchant culture, but they could no longer use economic pressure to force other species into military alliances. Commander Dan Foster, now serving as Earth's Director of Galactic Affairs, spent most of his time explaining human intentions to confused alien leaders who couldn't understand why humans hadn't simply exterminated them. "You threatened our children," Dan told a gathering of former enemy commanders. "So we removed your ability to threaten anyone ever again. It's not personal. It's just a problem that needed to be solved." The elder species had requested a formal meeting with Earth's leadership 6 months after the fighting stopped. Ambassador Zareth led a delegation that included representatives from species so old that some had forgotten their own origins. The meeting took place aboard Kepler Station, which had been rebuilt and expanded to serve as humanity's diplomatic headquarters. The station now included facilities for dozens of different alien species and environmental systems that could support life forms that breathed everything from oxygen to liquid methane. President Katie Turner attended the meeting personally, along with the senior military and civilian leaders who had guided humanity through the war. The contrast between the human delegation and the alien one was striking. The aliens looked ancient and worn, as if the weight of millions of years of history was physically crushing them. The humans looked tired but determined, like people who had finished a difficult job and were ready to move on to the next challenge. Zareth spoke for the elder species. His silvery form flickered as he addressed the assembled humans. "We owe you an explanation," Zareth said. "The warnings we gave were based on historical events that occurred 3 million years ago. We encountered a species that demonstrated Capabilities similar to yours. We called them the Architects. The room was completely silent. The Architects were young when we first met them, Zareth continued. They had just discovered faster-than-light travel. They seemed peaceful and curious. They wanted only to explore and learn. President Turner leaned forward. What happened? To them? Two major powers decided to recruit them into their conflict, one of the Crystalline Dominion representatives sang. They thought these newcomers would provide additional ships and soldiers. They were wrong. Zareth's form grew brighter as he continued the story. The Architects didn't fight to win battles. They fought to solve the problem of having enemies. Within 50 years, both warring civilizations were extinct. Within 200 years, the Architects had conquered or destroyed every intelligent species in their region of the galaxy. And then? General Ryan Bell asked. Within 2,000 years, they turned on themselves, Zareth replied. Civil war consumed their entire civilization. They developed weapons that could crack planets and turn star systems into graveyards. When they were finished, nothing was left but ruins and warnings carved into dead worlds. Dr. Kevin Walsh spoke up from his position near the back of the room. What kind of warnings? One of the ancient tree-like beings answered in its wind-through-leaves voice. Messages telling anyone who found them to learn from their mistakes, to be better than they had been, to find a way to stop before it was too late. President Turner was quiet for a long moment. Is that what you think will happen to us? We hoped you would prove different, Zareth said. The difference between you and the Architects is that you seem capable of stopping yourselves before that final step. This terrifies us more than your weapons. Why? Admiral Sarah Kim asked. Because it means you might succeed where they failed, the crystalline representative replied. You might actually create lasting peace through the application of overwhelming force. The galaxy has never seen such a thing. Commander Foster presented humanity's terms for galactic peace. The document was surprisingly simple, only 3 pages long compared to the hundreds of pages that typically characterized interstellar treaties. The core principle was straightforward: a new galactic confederation with humans serving as mediators. For all interspecies conflicts, any species that initiated warfare against another would face human intervention. We're not interested in ruling the galaxy, Foster explained. We're interested in making sure that what happened to us never happens to anyone else. No more attacks on civilians. No more forced recruitment into other people's wars. No more threats against neutral parties. The terms were accepted immediately by every species present. 5 years later, Captain Jake Morrison commanded a joint species exploration fleet heading toward unknown regions of the galaxy. The ship's crew included humans, former Zephyrians, former Vorthans, and representatives from a dozen other species. The former war zones had become the most peaceful and prosperous regions in known space. Trade flowed freely between worlds that had been enemies just a few years earlier. Cultural exchange programs had replaced military alliances. Ambassador Lisa Carter served as the first human chancellor of the Galactic Peace Council, a position that required her to mediate disputes between species that had been fighting for thousands of years. Her success rate was remarkable, partly because everyone knew what happened to species that couldn't resolve their conflicts peacefully. Dr. Walsh had established the Institute for Galactic Understanding, a research facility dedicated to studying how different species could coexist without resorting to warfare. The Institute's work had already prevented 3 potential conflicts and helped resolve dozens of territorial disputes. The most important discovery came during an exploration mission to the edge of known space. Captain Morrison's fleet found the ruins of an ancient civilization in a dead star system. The planets had been cracked open like eggs, and the debris fields contained technology that was clearly artificial but completely non-functional. Among the ruins, they found a series of monuments covered in writing in a language that no one recognized. Dr. Walsh's translation team worked for months to decode the messages. The final translation was displayed on a simple metal plaque in the center of the monument complex. We could not stop ourselves in time. Perhaps those who come after us will prove wiser, learn from our mistakes, be better than we were. The galaxy needs guardians, not conquerors. Admiral Kim, now elderly and serving as Earth's senior military advisor, read the translation during a ceremony attended by representatives from every known species. Her response was recorded in the official records of the Galactic Peace Council. Message received, Admiral Kim said simply. Lesson learned. We will be better. The ceremony concluded with the dedication of a new monument built by the combined efforts of dozens of species. The inscription was written in every known galactic language. Here stood a civilization that learned too late the price of unchecked power. May those who come after learn from their sacrifice and prove worthy of. The big meeting room on Nexus Prime was full of noise and anger. Aliens from all over the galaxy sat in their special chairs, talking in loud voices. The air felt thick with worry and fear. Ambassador HFY stood up slowly. He was tall and thin, with blue skin that looked like metal. His eyes were cold as ice when he looked at the humans sitting in the corner. The Krillian Empire had sent him to speak for them, and everyone knew what he was going to say. The time for talking is over, HFY said. His voice was deep and scary. The human race has 30 days to give up their colonies and follow our rules. If they do not do this, we will make them do it. Captain Jake Morrison sat very still in his chair. He was a tall man with brown hair and strong hands. He had fought in many battles for Earth, but this was different. This was not about fighting with ships and guns. This was about the future of all humans everywhere. Next to him sat Ambassador Lisa Harper. She was a smart woman who had spent 5 years trying to make peace with the aliens. Her face showed no fear, but Jake could see her hands were tied on. Her papers. Prime Counselor Veltar stood up next. He was made of something that looked like living crystal. When he moved, light came off his body in pretty colors. But his words were not pretty at all. The humans are too wild, Veltar said. They fight too much. They take over planets too fast. They do not listen to the old ways. We must stop them before they become too strong. Around the big room, other aliens nodded their heads. The Velthari had long necks and 4 arms. The Aquarians looked like they lived in water. The Zoranians had fur all over their bodies. All of them agreed that humans were a problem. Jake looked at all these aliens and felt angry. Humans had worked hard to get into space. They had built ships and found new worlds. They had not asked anyone for help. But now these aliens wanted to control everything humans did. We are not asking you, said another alien with a voice like singing. We are telling you. This is how things work in our galaxy. The strong tell the weak what to do. You are weak. We are strong. You will do what we say. Ambassador Harper stood up slowly. She was much smaller than most of the aliens in the room, but she did not look afraid. Jake was proud of her in that moment. We hear what you are saying, Harper said in a calm voice. The human people will think about your offer. We need time to talk to our leaders on Earth. Some of the aliens laughed. It was not a nice sound. They thought humans were stupid and would have to say yes. You have no choice, HFY said. Look around this room. Every race here is stronger than yours. Every race here has more ships than yours. You cannot fight all of us. Harper looked around the room, too. Then she looked back at HFY. We understand that you think you are strong. We will give you our answer soon. After the meeting ended, the humans went back to their rooms. Jake, Lisa, and Admiral Kate Bennett sat around a small table. Admiral Bennett was a woman with gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. She had been quiet during the big meeting, but now she looked very angry. They are not trying to make a deal with us, Bennett said. This is not about talking. They want to take over our worlds, and they want us to say thank you for it. Lisa put her head in her hands. I have been trying to make peace with them for 5 years. I thought if we were nice and followed their rules, they would treat us as equals. But they see us as animals that need to be put in cages. Jake looked at the papers on the table. They showed where the alien ships were moving. The aliens had been getting ready for this fight for months. They had already decided what to do with humans before the meeting even started. What do we do now? Jake asked. Lisa was quiet for a long time. Then she looked up with a new look in her eyes. It was not fear anymore. It was something else. Something strong. We do what humans have always done when someone tries to make us slaves, she said. We say no. Admiral Bennett smiled for the first time all day. Are you thinking what I think? You are thinking? Lisa nodded. I am thinking that humans did not climb out of Earth's gravity well just to bow down to alien kings. We came to the stars to be free. If they will not let us be free in their club, then we will be free without their club. Jake felt his heart beat faster. You want to leave the council completely? More than that, Lisa said. I want to show the whole galaxy that their way is not the only way. I want to show them that free people are stronger than slaves. The next morning, all the aliens came back to the big meeting room. They expected the humans to say yes and give up. They were wrong. Lisa Harper walked to the front of the room. She looked at every alien there. Then she spoke in a clear, strong voice that everyone could hear. The human delegation has made its choice, she said. We reject your ultimatum. We reject your authority over human affairs. We are leaving this council, and we will make our own way among the stars. The room became very quiet. No one had ever said no to the Galactic Council before. No one had ever just walked away. Lisa turned to leave, and Jake and Admiral Bennett walked with her. As they reached the door, Zexai found his voice again. You will regret this, he called after them. You cannot survive without our protection. Lisa stopped and looked back one more time. We will see about that, she said. Then the humans walked out, leaving the most powerful beings in the galaxy sitting in shocked silence. For the first time in 1,000 years, someone had said no to the Galactic Council. 3 weeks had passed since the humans walked out of the Galactic Council. Admiral Kate Bennett stood in the war room of the Earth ship Defiance. The walls were covered with screens showing space maps and alien ship movements. What she saw made her worry. They are bringing everything they have, said Commander Alex Turner. He was a young man with quick eyes who was very good at understanding enemy plans. Krillian warships, Velthari attack fleets, even the Zoranians who usually stay out of fights. We count ships from 47 different alien races. Captain. Jake Morrison stood next to the big table in the middle of the room. The table showed a map of space made of light. Red dots showed where alien ships were moving. There were a lot of red dots. They think we are lying, Jake said. In their world, weak races always give up when the strong races threaten them. They have never seen anyone just say no and mean it. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked over to join them. She was a smart woman who studied how different alien races think and act. She had spent years learning about alien cultures, and now that knowledge was very important. The Council has rules about who is strong and who is weak, Elena said. They think strong means having big ships and old technology. They cannot understand why we would fight when they have more ships than us. Admiral Bennett nodded. The aliens thought in simple ways. To them, bigger always beat smaller. They had never met humans before. A voice came from the main screen. President Carter Williams appeared, looking very tired. He had not slept much since the humans left the Council. His job was to keep Earth safe, and that job had just become much harder. Admiral, the aliens are sending us messages every day, the president said. They want us to come back and say we are sorry. They are threatening to stop all trade with human worlds. What about our colonies? Jake asked. The human race had built homes on many worlds far from Earth. If those colonies were scared, They might ask the aliens to protect them. President Williams smiled for the first time in weeks. That is the good news. Every single colony has sent messages saying they stand with Earth. Mars sent a message that said, "We did not make this planet livable just to give it to alien landlords." Commander Turner brought up messages from all over human space. "It is the same everywhere, sir. The mining colonies, the farming worlds, the research stations, even the small trading posts. They all say they will fight with Earth." Elena looked at all the data coming in from human settlements. The aliens thought our colonies would panic when threatened. They thought humans would demand protection from the Council. Instead, they are building their own defenses. Admiral Bennett felt proud of her people. The aliens do not understand something important about humans. We are not just individuals looking out for ourselves. We are a people who choose to stand together when threatened. Jake pulled up reports about human military strength. Our fleet is still much smaller than theirs. They have 50 ships for every one of ours. But we have things they do not know about. Human engineering, our ability to adapt, and something they have never fought before. "What is that?" asked the president. "A race that fights harder when cornered," Jake said. Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent message from the frontier. Colony Administrator Sam Parker from New Texas appeared on the screen. His face looked worried, and his voice had static from the long distance. "Admiral, we have Krillian scout ships checking our defenses. They are testing to see how we will respond." Admiral Bennett's face became hard. "How many ships?" "3 destroyers," Sam replied. "They are staying just outside our weapons range, but they are scanning everything. They want to see if we will run or fight." Jake looked at the fleet readiness reports. "Admiral, I can take the rapid response fleet and be there in 12 hours. Bennett said. "It is time to show the galaxy that humans do not back down." As Jake prepared to leave, Elena pulled up more intelligence reports. The alien fleets are not just moving toward our space. They are also moving toward worlds of other races who have been talking to us. The Council is trying to scare everyone who might support us. Admiral Bennett studied the patterns. They are making a mistake. They think fear will make everyone fall in line, but fear can also make people angry. And angry people sometimes do things that surprise you. Commander Turner received another urgent message. "Admiral, we are getting reports from inside the Krillian Empire. Some of their worlds are asking questions about why they are attacking humans. Apparently, not all Krillians agree with their government." "That is interesting," Elena said. "Krillian society is very strict. If their own people are questioning orders, it means they are not as united as they appear." President Williams leaned forward on the screen. "What are our chances if this becomes a real war?" Admiral Bennett was quiet for a moment. "In a straight fight, ship against ship, we would lose. But humans have never been good at straight fights. We are good at finding new ways to win when the old ways do not work." Jake was already heading for the door. "Admiral, the Ranger is ready to go. We will show those Krillian scouts that humans are not afraid of them." "Be careful, Jake," Bennett said. "But also be clear. We are not looking for a fight, but if they bring one to us, we will finish it." As Jake left, Elena brought up cultural analysis of all the alien races now threatening humanity. "There is something important here, Admiral. Most of these races have not fought a real war in hundreds of years. They have gotten used to other races giving up without fighting. They may not be as ready for actual combat as they think." Admiral Bennett looked at the displays showing alien fleet movements. Hundreds of ships were moving toward human space. It looked hopeless, but she had learned something important about humans during her years in space. "Humans have always been at their best when things looked hopeless," she said. "We climbed out of caves, crossed oceans, and reached for the stars. Every time someone told us it was impossible. Every time, we proved them wrong." Commander Turner received another message. "Admiral, Captain Morrison reports that he is jumping to hyperspace now. He should reach New Texas in 11 hours. "Good," Bennett said. Elena, I want you to prepare a cultural briefing for all our fleet commanders. If we are going to fight these aliens, we need to understand how they think. Already working on it, Elena replied. The most important thing to remember is that they expect us to follow their rules of warfare. They have never fought an enemy that makes up new rules during the battle. Admiral Bennett smiled grimly. Then they are about to get an education in human creativity. The war room became busy, as everyone prepared for what might be humanity's first real interstellar war. But Admiral Bennett was not thinking about defeat. She was thinking about something President Williams had said earlier. Every human colony had chosen to stand with Earth. Across dozens of worlds, millions of humans had decided that freedom was worth fighting for. That kind of unity was something the aliens had never seen before. Maybe, Bennett thought, the aliens were right to be worried about humans, just not for the reasons they thought. The Kepler 442b mining colony had been humanity's farthest outpost for 3 years. It was a hard place to live, with poisonous air and temperatures that could freeze a person in minutes. But humans had learned to survive there because the rocks were full of valuable metals that Earth needed. Colony Director Sam Parker stood in the command center, watching the sensor screens with growing worry. 3 large Krillian destroyers were getting closer to the system. Each ship was twice as big as anything the humans had at the colony. "They are not answering our radio calls," said Communications Officer Linda Hayes. She was a young woman who had come to the colony to escape the crowded cities of Earth. Now she wished she was back in those crowded cities. Standard Krillian. "Attack formation! They are not here to talk!" Captain Jake Morrison's voice came through the speakers from his ship, still hours away. "Sam, we are 12 hours out. Can you hold on that long?" Parker looked at his small defense force. He had 2 patrol ships that were really just armed cargo haulers. He also had some mining ships that had never been in a fight. Against 3 Krillian destroyers, it did not look good. "We will do our best, Jake," Parker said into his radio. "These miners did not come this far just to give up to alien bullies." The Krillian fleet commander opened a communication channel to the colony. His voice came through the translators, sounding cold and proud. Sub-Admiral Vor had destroyed many worlds for the Council. He thought this would be easy. Primitive. "Humans, you will give up this facility to Council oversight. If you resist, we will destroy you." Parker's response surprised even his own people. "Unknown vessels, you are in human space without permission. Leave now or face the consequences." The Krillian commander laughed. The sound came through the translators as an ugly grinding noise. "You threaten us with mining equipment? Your species thinks too much of itself." What happened next would be talked about in military schools across the galaxy for many years. The humans did not fight like any race the Krillians had ever seen. Instead of lining up their ships for a proper battle, the mining vessels scattered into the asteroid field that surrounded the planet. Chief Engineer Maria Santos had spent months changing the mining equipment for exactly this kind of situation. She was a small woman with strong hands who could fix anything. Now she was about to use her skills in a way she had never expected. "Target locked on the lead destroyer," she reported from the heavy mining platform called Digger's Pride. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not solid projectiles. The first attack from human mining equipment caught the Krillians completely off guard. Heavy tungsten mining charges, designed to break apart asteroids, punched through advanced energy shields like they were made of paper. "Impossible!" Kexvor screamed as his lead destroyer shook under impacts that should not have been possible. "These are primitive tools!" "Tools," Parker replied calmly over the radio. "Designed by a species that learned to turn everything into a weapon when we had to." The battle became a lesson in human cleverness. While Krillian ships tried to stay in formation and follow their military training, the humans used every dirty trick that 300 years of human warfare had taught them. Mining ships appeared from behind asteroids like ghosts. Construction robots became fighting machines. Even cargo haulers joined the fight, ramming into Krillian ships with their heavy hulls. Maria Santos found herself using a plasma cutter meant for mining as a point defense weapon. The high-energy beam that normally cut through rock was slicing through Krillian armor like it was butter. "This is not how space battles are supposed to work," HFY shouted as his second destroyer lost power. The humans were not following any military rules he knew. "We never read your rule book," Sam Parker replied. Then he ordered his mining teams to release a cloud of metal dust into space. When the Krillian ships flew through it, their sensors went blind. The Krillians had advanced technology and superior firepower, but they had trained to fight other advanced civilizations that fought in predictable ways. They had never fought miners who used asteroid mining charges as missiles and plasma cutters as laser cannons. Captain Morrison arrived to find the Krillian force retreating. One destroyer was completely disabled, drifting in space with its crew, calling for help. Another was limping away with half its weapons destroyed. The third was running as fast as it could back to Council space. "Status report," Morrison said as his ship, the Ranger, docked with the colony. Parker met him at the airlock with a big smile on his tired face. "2 enemy destroyers disabled, 1 running away. 0 human casualties, though Maria's going to need some time to recover from using mining equipment as weapons of war." Morrison shook his head in amazement. "The Council is going to have trouble explaining this to their military leaders. Humans just defeated Krillian regulars using mining equipment." The real shock came 12 hours later when Morrison received an urgent message from Admiral Bennett. "Jake, we are receiving surrender requests from 18 Krillian worlds. Word of your little mining operation has spread through their empire faster than their government can control it." Morrison stared at the message. "Surrender requests? We fought one small battle with some destroyers." "That is not how their military works," came Dr. Rodriguez's voice from Earth. "In Krillian culture, being defeated by inferior opponents proves that their leaders are weak. Their own people are questioning whether their government knows what it is doing." The Battle of Kepler 442b, as historians would later call it, proved something the Galactic Council had never thought about. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent is one who refuses to play by the rules everyone else follows. News of the battle spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Other alien races heard that humans had defeated a Krillian attack fleet using mining equipment. Some laughed. Others started to worry. But on Krillian worlds, people asked different questions. If their mighty fleet could not defeat human miners, what did that say about Krillian strength? If humans could win using mining tools, what could they do with real weapons? Sub-Admiral HFY found himself facing a military court when he returned to Krillian space. His superiors wanted to know how he had lost 2 destroyers to what they called primitive mining equipment. "They do not fight like any species in our databases," HFY tried to explain. "They use industrial tools as weapons. They hide in asteroid fields. They do not follow proper military procedure." "Are you saying," asked the Krillian High Command, "that our advanced military cannot defeat improvised human tactics?" HFY had no good answer for that question. Neither did the rest of the Krillian military. For the first time in centuries, the Krillian Empire was questioning its own strength. Meanwhile, at the mining colony, Maria Santos was already working on improvements to their defenses. "Next time," she told Sam Parker, "I want to mount proper weapons on these mining platforms. If we are going to fight, we might as well do it right." Parker looked out at the asteroid field, where pieces of Krillian destroyers were still floating. "Maria, I think we just started something bigger than we realized." He was right. The Battle of Kepler 442b was just the beginning. Humans had shown the galaxy that Council strength was not as absolute as everyone thought, and once that idea started spreading, there was no way to stop it. Captain Morrison prepared to return to Earth with news of the victory, but he also knew this was not the end. It was just the first move in a game that would change the galaxy forever. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was chaos. News of the Krillian defeat at Kepler 442b had spread through diplomatic channels faster than anyone expected. The political shockwaves were breaking apart alliances that had lasted for centuries. Prime Counselor Veltar tried to bring order to the amphitheater, but alien representatives were shouting at each other in dozens of languages. The translation computers could not keep up with all the angry voices. The crystal being's light flickered with stress as he watched his orderly galaxy fall apart. "Order! Order!" Veltar's voice cut through the noise like a sharp blade. "We are here to discuss the human situation, not to argue among ourselves." Ambassador HFY of the Krillian Empire stood up slowly. The proud alien who had threatened humanity just months before now looked tired and defeated. His blue skin had lost its metallic shine, and his cold eyes showed something that looked like fear. "Honorable counselors," HFY said carefully, "the Empire must tell the Council that we are reconsidering our position on the human question." The huge room became silent. The Krillians, who had been the strongest supporters of destroying humanity, were backing down. If the Krillians were afraid, what did that mean for everyone else? "Explain," Veltar demanded, his crystal body glowing brighter with anger. HFY looked uncomfortable. "Our fleet commanders report that human tactics are unlike anything we have seen before. They do not fight according to any recognized military doctrine. Their use of civilian equipment as weapons systems makes no sense to our strategic analysts." Representative Quicks of the Velthari Confederacy leaned forward with her forearms crossed. "You were defeated by miners using construction tools?" "That is too simple an explanation," HFY replied defensively. "The humans showed adaptive capabilities that our intelligence services had not predicted. They seemed to invent new military tactics during battle. While the Council argued on Earth, President Carter Williams was dealing with a completely different problem. His office was flooded with messages from alien races that had never talked to humans before. His secretary could barely keep up with all the requests. "Mr. President," his aide announced, "we have 17 different species asking to establish direct diplomatic relations with us, bypassing the Council completely. The Nexari Trade Federation wants to discuss exclusive business partnerships, and something called the Free Worlds Alliance is asking if we would be interested in mutual defense agreements." Williams looked at the long list with amazement. 2 months ago, we could not get a meeting with a single non-council species. Now they are lining up to talk to us. Admiral Kate Bennett joined the discussion from her flagship through a secure communication link. "It makes sense, sir. For the first time in centuries, someone stood up to the Council and did not get crushed. We have proven it is possible to exist outside their system." Dr. Elena Rodriguez added her analysis from the Xenobiology Department on Earth. The Council maintained control through fear and the belief that they were unbeatable. By proving that humans could not only survive outside their protection, but actually defend ourselves successfully, we have shattered that belief. The most surprising development came from an unexpected source. Captain Jake Morrison, still stationed at the Kepler 442b mining colony, received a priority message from former Council Ambassador Lisa Harper, who was now serving as humanity's first independent diplomatic coordinator. "Jake, you need to see this," Harper said, her voice carrying excitement that she was trying to hide. "We just received a formal communication from something called the Independent Systems Coalition. It is made up of 43 species that have left the Council in the past 2 weeks. Morrison stared at the message screen. 43 species? That is almost half the Council membership. "It gets better," Harper continued. "They want to discuss forming a new galactic organization based on voluntary cooperation rather than forced submission. They are calling it the Free Galaxy Initiative." Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was having its worst crisis in 1,000 years. Prime Counselor Veltar faced a chamber that was half empty. Many species had recalled their ambassadors to reassess their galactic positioning, which was diplomatic language for figure out if we want to stay in this club. The humans have created a political revolution, admitted Counselor Thex of the Aquarian Systems. He was one of the few moderate voices left in the council. By simply walking away, they have exposed the fundamental weakness of our system. What? Weakness? Veltar demanded, his crystal form flaring with angry light. That our authority depends on consent, Thex replied calmly. When someone stops consenting to be ruled and proves they can survive without us, others start asking why they need us at all. Veltar's light dimmed as he understood what Thex was saying. For centuries, alien races had stayed in the council because they believed they had no choice. The council provided protection from chaos and war. But if humans could provide their own protection and even help other species do the same, then what was the council really good for? Representative Zix of the Mantari Hive brought up strategic displays showing the current galactic situation. The humans are not just surviving independently, they are thriving. Their trade with non-council species has increased by 300%. Their colonies are more prosperous than they were under council trade restrictions. Worse, added Representative Kix, they are sharing their success with others. The species that have joined their Free Galaxy initiative are reporting similar improvements in trade and prosperity. Veltar studied the data with growing alarm. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around human principles of voluntary cooperation instead of council principles of hierarchical control, and it was working better than the old system. Recommendations? Veltar asked, though he dreaded the answer. Counselor Thex spoke carefully. Perhaps it is time to consider that the galaxy is large enough for multiple approaches to interstellar relations. Perhaps we should consider adapting our methods. The suggestion was shocking. The Galactic Council had ruled the same way for over a millennium. Change was not something they did easily, but change was happening whether they liked it or not. Every day brought news of more species leaving the Council to join the Free Galaxy initiative. Every day brought reports of Council member worlds asking their governments why they were not getting the same benefits that FGI members enjoyed. The most damaging report came from Krillian space. Ambassador Zexhai received an urgent message from his homeworld during the council session. He read it with growing horror. "Counselors," Zexhai announced, his voice shaking, "I have just received word that 12 Krillian colony worlds have declared independence from the Empire. They are requesting to join the Free Galaxy initiative directly." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. If the mighty Krillian Empire was losing control of its own worlds, what did that mean for the rest of the Council? Veltar's crystal form flickered as he processed this information. The humans had not just rejected Council authority, they had created an alternative that was so attractive that even Council member worlds were abandoning their governments to join it. The humans have done something unprecedented, Thex observed quietly. They have proven that galactic civilization does not require galactic government. For the first time in his long life, Prime Counselor Veltar began to wonder if the Galactic Council's time as the sole authority among the stars was coming to an end. The answer to that question would determine the future of every species in the galaxy. And that answer was being written not by ancient council protocols, but by human miners who had refused to surrender their freedom to alien overlords.